I see someone in here in the back. You want to come to the microphone, please? No, I need you to
No,
come to the microphone.
you need to be on the
if you want to
microphone.
participate in the process. Okay.
Okay. Since I was brought up, I'd like to say that I didn't mean to belittle anybody. I'm trying to make this as simple and direct and straightforward as possible. I'm trying to eliminate verbiage that makes it difficult for us to participate. There are so many people that are on the ballot. There's so many things that need oversight from a vigilant electorate that we got to make it simple. You know, anybody can sit down and read all that stuff, but it's just difficult to do it. Like my example of if you want to comment at the SBOE, you know, trying to log on to the website, find out what's coming up, when you can just call or text your elected representative and they can, you know, easily guide you to where you want to go.
Yes, sir. And so we don't, again, remember, these are just, we're talking. So we said before that we were fine with taking out line 2 and leaving everything else in there. So we can do that. But we also said, the reason why I did that, because I remember specifically Mr. Brewer saying that, well, wait a minute, how do we know what that line is? And so my intent was to try to better address that line, because we gave the example of you calling someone something, and we said, yeah, we get that, that's out of line. Like if you were coming in to say, Commissioner Nix, you're a crook. Okay, well, that's not the same as saying, Commissioner Nix, you know, I'm displeased, whatever word you use, with how you're representing me. You're not reflecting the members that put you in office, you know, and I'm one of those members, and that's my opinion on the matter. That part is fine. That's certainly your deal. But to say you're a crook, you know, you're no good, you're just something like that. That is not the appropriate place for that. Now, you go to the side, like you talked about, Mr. Wright, and you're talking to Commissioner Nix, and you're saying, Mr. Commissioner Nix, you know, this is how I feel about you. You know, this is how I feel. And he's listening to that. He can stand there and listen to you, or he can walk away. But he can't do that up here, right? He can't. For those people in the court who don't want to be a part of that, they can't get up and walk out if they have business left to conduct. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're saying. How do we balance that? So yes, you all today, everybody can contact their individual commissioner or county judge and have at it. You can go right ahead and do that. But in this meeting, when you address the court, then you say all the things you need to say without crossing that line of using profanity. You know, and I know there are some words that have now become more social, but we're not talking about those words. We're talking about the words that have not become social.
I thought we were talking about free speech. I didn't.
No, we're not talking about free speech, because again, you said the state of Texas can make a law, doesn't make it right. Mm-hmm. The state of Texas says that open meetings, that the commissioner's court or any other agency, they can have or not have public comment. So again, we can disagree with the state of Texas, but this body, the reason why we're talking about it, was established by the state of Texas. Mm-hmm. So we're using state of Texas rules because this body only gets its authority from the state of Texas. Now, if I'm wrong about that, I'll leave it to legal counsel, but that's the format of only reason why I refer to that. And you and I can get in a disagreement about the state of Texas, but I mean, we have to work under the guidelines to which we are under, and we work under the auspices that we're a political subdivision of the state of Texas.
And nobody's challenging that auspices or whatever the term was. What we're challenging is that if you're going to have an open forum, and if you're going to give 3 minutes, that it should not be up to the interpretation of anybody on those chairs up there as to whether or not the words I chose to use are applicable or considered profane or demeaning. If I want to get up there for 3 minutes and show my butt, and I tried to not use a profane word there.
Sure, I appreciate you.
But, you know, I wouldn't do that because I have more respect for the court, and I think that people would obviously lose respect for the person who did it. But if they're a taxpayer that has no choice but to fund this body, and they want to get up there for 3 minutes and make a fool out of themselves, I say we give them that opportunity. If somebody were to come at me in the court, you know, trying to demean me personally or whatever, as long as I have a 3 minute opportunity to come back and say, look, it was not the right forum, you know, that's certainly the closest thing to an area where obviously we don't want to waste all the court's time with a bunch of he said, she said that's totally not relative to community business. But there again, where do you draw that line? Because I may be somebody who's ingrained with the powerful elite of town and have used that to take advantage of benefits. And I may be calling somebody out to that effect, and whereas the court might say, oh, well, you're just demeaning somebody from the public, whereas I'm trying to bring public official awareness to the fact that we've got business leaders here in town that get special treatment and favors out of the city.
Okay, so that's a good line. I mean, a good question, where do we draw that line? I don't have the answer, but we're trying to strike a better balance than we've had in the past. That's kind of the whole point of this. And so I think if those of you who participated in the previous meetings, one example of that from this body would be, you know, there was a question that came up like, how are we going to give information to the court? And I think there was some general concern because the court had named various members of its own organization that it could control, that there was a potential feeling that, well, maybe this is not going to be a real process, right? Like this is kind of like the deck is stacked against. But the reality of that is, and I think the last meetings can attest to it, and what the court heard is that the information that came out of this group went to the court. The information that came out of this group was submitted to members who asked for it before it went to the court so they could see what was going to be sent to the court. So I'm saying all that to say that the true intent is people are trying to do better. Now, are we the only 9 people or 10 people that can determine what's better for the 225,000 Smith County folks? No. There are going to be people here who don't agree with any of us on any of this. But we are the folks who are here now trying to do something about it. But I don't sit here saying I speak for all 800 county employees, nor the other 200 plus citizens like myself who pay taxes in the county of Smith. But at the same time, we're trying to do something here to communicate a better process. Now, I'm not going to tell you that the court is going to remove that information, right? Because again, it's inconsistent with the other 254 counties in the state of Texas. It's just not consistent. And so sometimes we like it, sometimes we don't, but we do mirror ourselves with other county organizations. You know, when I get ready to address the court about how we conduct our business as a human resources group, I can't use what I used to do when I worked in the private sector because it's a different setup. I can't use what they do at home rule cities because it's a different setup. I have to go where there is apples to apples. And county government is the only apples to apples comparison. They don't compare to cities, they don't compare to school districts, they don't compare to other state boards because, if I'm not mistaken, the state of Texas itself doesn't even have to abide by the same laws in terms of some instances that counties have to abide by. The legislature itself. So again, the only reason I'm bringing it up is because when we get to what's that balance, we have to have some kind of starting point. Mr. Brewer gave an example of scientific methods. I think they call it a control group. You got to always have a control group, and then you have the experiment. So what is the control group that we're going to use to say, here's the jump off point? And for us, that's other county governments.
Sure.
Unless somebody can produce a better solution, which we're open to, that says this can give you an apples to apples comparison, because we don't have all the answers. That's why we're trying to get input from other folks, right? Because we don't have all the answers.
Well, I appreciate you letting me drag you back into last week's topic.
Oh, no, it's
or
fine.
whatnot. And I said my goal is just one way, shape, or form to make Smith County a bastion of freedom, maybe an example to set for others to follow. And you're right, we do have the control group of 253 other counties who do it the way we have been, but I think it could be a lot better. So
I agree. I know what you're talking about. You should have that freedom of speech, but you also got to have, some politeness or whatever. I can tell my son no, and I say, heck no. But his granddaughter, I say, honey, you can't do that. I've told them both the same thing, but you can just do it in a nicer way. In a public forum, I think you've got to have rules where you can't just, belittle somebody. And I know common sense is going to be a lot. I think the court should be able to say, hey, this guy's out of line. Maybe 3 of us say, but if 3 of us think he's proceeding on the right procedure, then I don't have a problem with that.
right,
So
that definitely could be another way to solve it, is take the power out of one. Because right now that's the way it seems, or certainly that's the way it seemed.
if I could throw up my hand, hey, this guy's tearing me up. Do you guys think he's out of line? And 2 of them say, no, I think he's fine. Then I don't know. That's maybe something you could look at.
And that's fine, and we can,
Great
again, we can bring that up, and then let the members that are there on that body who are receiving that information, handle that. that's not a problem. That would be an example of a suggestion that could go up before the court to consider.
As far as vulgarity, though, I agree with Carmen. The
No
rest-
vulgarity.
No,
The rest
no,
of the
no.
audience doesn't deserve to, the rest of the audience doesn't deserve to hear profanity, vulgarity, threatening statements. You know, we have, school students come sometimes to watch court, so they don't need to be part of that.
I need to interject something, I'm sorry if this is out of order, but we've got this document, only members of the county have it, none of us have a copy that we can,
I printed it out from our website.
That's what I
Which-
did.
which document?
A copy. I'll get you.
Was it decorum?
And Nicole has.
Now,
a
what I'm
stack.
going to say now, and I don't want to put anybody on the spot,